Hi and welcome to my channel. I'm Bunny or Gun Bunny, and this is my journey through guns and cosplay. And yes, I promise there's more cosplay coming soon. I'm a little bit backed up, I'm sorry. I know it's mostly been about guns recently. But, what was I gonna say? Fuck, I completely forgot. Oh, this video is inspired by another content creator, the channel 2A for All. So she reached out to me and asked a few questions about shooting rifles with EDS, as I have talked a lot about this on my channel and asking for advice, and I decided, this is part of my journey that's really important. I've talked a lot about EDS and the accommodations I make for myself, but I want to make more focused videos on specific topics about that because I think it's interesting and it's also really, really important to my journey. But I also want to disclose that I'm not a medical provider. I am not your medical provider. I take no liability for any of this. Again, I'm not an expert. I'm not here to be. This is just things that I do for myself that I have found that really, really help and that I kind of compiled throughout my conversation and have learned over the past, 2 or so years of shooting and learning about myself and knowing, I have EDS and knowing a good amount about the biology behind EDS. I found all of this stuff. This is not necessarily advice. People with EDS are very different. You can be hypermobile, hypomobile, things can change, and everything should be up to you and, your choices. If you're a medical provider like that, take this at your risk. I'm not trying to put this out as advice. This is not an advice video. I mean, you can take it as advice if you want. This is more of stuff that I do for myself because it's my journey and it's about me. Yeah, that's my disclaimer. Let's get started. Okay, so this is specifically about rifles, but I do want to mention very quickly my Glock in stock. That is the biggest thing I've ever made, changed. And a lot of people will be like, it's like shooting a PCC. It's really not. My rifle and PCC shooting skills did not get better from shooting the Glock in stock. I shot the Glock in stock for a while, not shooting a traditional pistol, and I picked up a traditional pistol, and my pistol skills were so much better. It is there's a few reasons for that. That I'm going to make another video about, but one of the things about EDS specifically is your joints don't really work the way that they're supposed to. And there are a few things that you can do to help that. One of them is giving them rest, and another is strength training. And I will always say, even if I am physically in a place where I'm not in pain enough and I have enough strength in my joints and it's not going to hurt me to shoot a pistol without a stock, there will still be days, no matter how healthy I get, how strong I get, that I will need the Glock in stock. Strength training is not going to eliminate my need for that. And the fact is that EDS has flare-ups and things happen. So I like to clarify that. I'm going to make a whole video separately just on the Glock in stock again because it's really interesting, but through an EDS focus lens and my journey through that and the idea of it being more a pistol than a PCC and how it helps my pistol shooting skills. This video is about rifles, so we're going to focus on rifles. So kind of going on that vein that I was talking about before, EDS is really complicated. And one of the main ways to treat it is through exercise. And something that I've learned is it's really hard for me to get myself to exercise. It's the main treatment though. And the other thing about EDS is most exercises, when you think of exercises, we can't do. Or it's not safe and it's not actually gonna help. So for me, things that I know that I've talked with my physical therapist about that really help are strength training and cardio that are low impact and are not going to put strain on my joints or possibly put my joints in danger. So I cannot lift weights, for example. That's dangerous. That's not actually helpful. Running is a bad idea. Things that are good ideas, swimming, ellipticals, rowing machines, resistance bands, Pilates, things that have a built-in resistance or a built-in thing that help basically stop the elasticity where your joints won't. Basically, because if I lift a weight, my joint could pop out of place. So low impact things that have built-in resistance bands and things that are generally gentler on the joints that focus on the strengthening and then some cardio. I mainly do rowing and I do some planks, some squats, and a lot of walking on a treadmill and a lot of on my elliptical. When I do work out, those are mainly what I do. And I'm starting off with the importance of strengthening because that is the main treatment for EDS and that is how you get stronger. But the thing about EDS, which can be really annoying, is how long it takes to get stronger. And how much you have to give yourself a rest. It is not like a normal person working out. The thing that frustrates me is so much is that I have to take it slower I have to take a lot more breaks and a lot more rest and give my body a lot more space to like, oh, I'm having a really bad flare-up day. I could injure myself. Let's not work out. And so building that strengthening is going to take a lot longer. There's so many exercises I can't do. And also just, I'm chronically ill. Motivation is hard. But it is one of the biggest things that I've found that really help my shooting. I recently had a friend come with me to the range for the first time, and she was like, her arms were shaking after the time she shot a rifle, and she's like, oh, I need to really start lifting. And like, even if you don't have EDS, strength training is really important for shooting rifles. And I don't think that this comes up a lot. And I talked about this tactical gear. Tactical gear is not made for my body. It is not made for my size. I'm a small person, and even without the EDS, I have to focus on strength training more. So one of the things I have really realized about strength training is that it's cumulative, that you have to consistently do it, and little things can really help. And I have found that has majorly helped my level of pain, my stamina when it comes to shooting rifles, and my ability to shoot them in general. But also just being really gentle on myself has really helped. So using supports when I'm practicing marksmanship, not pushing myself too hard, as well as making other accommodations for me. Strength training isn't one that's going to fix everything. Even if I'm super strong, I'm still going to have days where my joints flare up, and it's going to be really painful to do anything. And so, yes, it's a piece of the puzzle, but I don't want it to be like perceived as, oh, you got strong, your EDS isn't a problem anymore. That's not true, and that's not how this disability and this chronic illness works. So when I'm talking about things that I do, accommodations or whatever you want to call them to help make rifle shooting easier for me, this is stuff I've learned over the course of time, and also just adaptations that I've made for myself. Like I talked about switching from isosceles to weaver for pistol shooting. There are little changes that can make such a big difference in my accuracy, but my stamina, right? So like for me, holding up a rifle offhand can be really, really painful. And also my accuracy is going to go down as I shoot. Part of the thing with EDS is you have to be more gentle with yourself. So pushing myself through without making changes isn't necessarily going to help my marksmanship. And it's also going to cause further damage to my body. So one of the important things that I've noted with myself with EDS is figuring out the things that help me do better, figuring out the things that help me improve without putting damage on my body, and implementing those even when I am feeling stronger, still using those accommodations for myself, because they are putting less strain on my joints, and the less strain on my joints, the better they do, and the better I will be able to do it for longer, right? Like I've already had a lot of joint issues in my hands. I'm pretty young, and I was worried as someone who's an artist and a cosplayer, like I want to be able to use my hands for as long as I possibly can. So preserving them and doing everything I can to not push them so hard while still enjoying the sports and the things I like is really, really important. So one of the things I want to talk about here is like, yes, I push myself and I know my personal limits, and people will be like, oh, you do brutalities. I'm like, yes, I know my limits, and I will often stop and not do like a dummy drag or certain things at brutality, which they're super understanding about, and I super appreciate, because I'm trying to preserve my joints so that they can last for longer, as well as giving myself the things that I need. So like, okay, I'm gonna stop rambling because I probably repeated myself 5 times in my notes. So the first thing one of the things I said about in this email is, I want to clarify, I like recoil because I'm a bit of a masochist, but it's not necessarily the best for my body, especially with EDS. So when I'm thinking about what I want to use for my competition rifle, something that I'm going to use quite a lot, something with almost zero recoil is going to be pretty much the correct, like is going to be pretty helpful. Not only is it going to be easier for me to manage, but again, like I said earlier, it's going to put less strain on my joints. Even if I'm feeling really great that day, I want to preserve my joints, and I want to give them the best shot that they can at being the best that they can and for the longest that they can. So what I found is that Russell from KE Arms, who's amazing and has been a big part of my journey, has watched me a lot of brutalities and designed the What Would Stoner Do, has, helped me get this. This is my What Would Stoner Do. It is the 18-inch competition upper. I've made videos about this before. I shoot this all the time. And it has very, very little recoil, which is really helpful for managing, my joint issues. It's going to cause me less pain. And also there's just less for me to be fighting and putting strain on my joints. So that is my first combination, is this fucking amazing gun. And this will come back. So the next thing I do is a little bit weird, and it might be a little bit controversial, I don't know, is how I shoulder my rifle. Now, the way that I was taught is to kind of make a cup with your shoulder, and then you shoulder within that. So I would put it kind of like here, right? I don't know if you can really tell, but that's right where my joint is. And again, everybody's anatomy is slightly different. I specifically have pretty weird anatomy, like my ribs and my hips touch. My arms are really long for my body. So are my fingers. This is just like a skeletal mutation I have. So not everybody's body is going to look the same. And, you know, it might not be right on your joint when you're shouldering it, but for me it is. And that's really painful and also really bad for that joint. It's also a lot less stable. So what I found is what I tend to do almost naturally, I didn't even think about this for a while, is I tend to shoulder kind of more up on my pectoral muscle, right? Or the top of my tit, whatever you want to fucking call it. I'm having a pretty cleavagey top right now, but it's going to be, you know, when my cleavage parts get down there, it's going to be more here where the muscle is rather where the boob is. I'm kind of shouldering it on my tit right now because they're up there, but like it's going to be less in here and more here on my chest, which one gives me more stability, and two is pressing less on my joint, on my shoulder joint for when I'm dealing with recoil. It's not for everybody. It might be weird and uncomfortable for some people. I, you know, could see it knocking the breath out of, I could see it being kind of painful in some ways. But for me, it's what works and it makes my shooting better. So yes, it's not the correct way, but fuck the correct way. It's what works for me. That's what we do on my channel. So the other thing I do about my stance and the way I hold it is I will stand more forward into the recoil than maybe you would think you would. Again, everybody's different. What leaning into recoil enough looks like for one person is not going to look the same for another person. But for me, I lean more into the recoil than even I feel like I should be doing. And this is just overcompensating for my slight lack of stability due to my joints. Now, the next thing I found that really, really helped is the foregrip on my rifle. Now, it's basically, what I found was it was really painful for me to hold a rifle like this on the hand. Basically, right here in my wrist, the joint was just so sore, and even holding it like this right now is painful. It has, you know, shooting pains, and obviously pain is bad, but I realized that's not just a strength thing, that's just my joints being unhappy with that position. So a foregrip where I can hold it like this and pull, I am able to pull it back further, more into my shoulder and get a better shoulder weld. But also too, it's not putting as much strain on my wrist, which is good. And you know, that's what we want. So the next thing about the rifle is that it is a very light gun. That's part of the design of the What Would Stoner Do. But not only is it extra light, it's very well balanced. And that is something that is insanely helpful. Even a heavier gun, if it's well balanced, I will prefer it. I would prefer it over a light, unbalanced gun. But the What Would Stoner Do being the combination of a light gun and being well balanced is kind of perfect for me. I tend to lean towards lighter, well balanced recoil, and lower recoil rifles in general, like my lever gun. But this is basically what it's doing is because it's so well balanced, it's not putting as much strain on the joints in one of my arms or the other, and it's incredible. Like, actually incredible. I will be putting like guns on the wall in the gun shop every day, and every day I'm like, oh my god, this fucking rifle, I hate it, right? Because it just doesn't feel well balanced in my hands. I didn't notice that as much, because until I started doing this every day, or for 3 days a week, and then I would put the What Would Stoner Do's up on the wall. I'm like, oh. And it's such a relief, and it really, really does help with that joint pain, and also just like me feeling more stable in my stance. Now, again, with this one, the specific design is that when Russell put this together, he gave me the short commando stock. That also really helps. I also know that was really helping Soon Yoon, who emailed me. I personally, like, there's quite a few reasons that could be. My personal reason is that we're not bending as much to get like a cheek weld. It's also just a lot more handy and easier to manage. We're also just smaller, but also like, just holding it now. If I had a longer stock, that's more strain I'm putting away from my body, right? So that's more strain on this arm and on this arm to hold something stable. The stock being shorter means that the weight is more towards the center of my body, and it's putting less strain on my body and my joints. And last but not least, the thing that I specifically made to protect my shoulder and my joints is something that's actually inspired by the shooting world. This is not just a bunny creation. If you've ever heard of shooting jackets, this was something that I was talking about with my mentor. And we were talking about this, and I was like, well, I kind of want part of a shooting jacket, but not the whole jacket. I want the shoulder part. So there's this padded part on the shoulder of the shooting jacket that basically acts as a padding for where you put your gun, where you shoulder your gun. And from my understanding, at least what it helps me do, is not only smooths out the area for me to just get a better weld, even if I don't place it perfectly and fast, it absorbs recoil and also can just kind of protect that area in general, especially if your joints are not so good like mine. So basically what I did is I got a few layers of felt and like this fake leather, and then I stitched this strap to it, and I put on a t-shirt, and I basically just like made a duct tape pattern of myself. So what it does is it looks like this, right? It's a little bit wonky, but that's fine. I put it on like this. And now I look like a sci-fi character, which is fine. So here, what it's doing is it's literally just covering this one part where I would shoulder the rifle. It's going to mean that the rifle is less likely to slip on my skin or the fabric that I'm wearing, which is less likely to cause me to, bump my joint. A little bit of a bump on your shoulder for someone without EDS might mean nothing, but for someone with EDS, it could be really painful and even dangerous. It also just kind of smooths out the area, making it easier for me to get a shoulder weld without as much tensioning of my shoulder. I made this pattern on my body, literally jankily, with some duct tape because I'm really into pattern making and sewing, and I think it came out really well. And it has worked really well. I haven't worn it that much, but I plan to wear it a lot more. It also just has the added effect of looking kind of badass as just a fashion accessory. I really like this. It's just a very small thing, like wearing, for example, a wrist brace, right? Which is something I will often do when I'm having a really bad day, or either wear a wrist brace or boxing wraps. It just adds a little bit of extra protection. This is one of my favorite things that I've kind of done or come up with in terms of like protecting myself EDS wise. It's again not the most like well thought out pattern. It's a bit janky. If I were to make it for somebody else, I would probably just put it together neater. But if it suits my needs, and I forgot what I was gonna say. Oh, also, I like it because it has this, which, like, this part condenses, this part right here kind of, pushes my cleavage into, like, with the bra pushing up and the cleavage, and this pushing down. You get a nice little, like, cleavage window, which I think is a bonus. I'm just saying, like, not only does it look sexy, like, I should be in a sci-fi film killing space vampires, but it's functional, too, unlike most sci-fi and fantasy armor. So, before we get into it, actually, please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And if this is going up after before the Leia promo ends on this winter, please check that out. Basically, the idea is that I will be wearing the like slave Princess Leia cosplay to my next competition. If you have seen some of my competition videos, you know that there's a lot of running around and it's very fun. So you can donate. There's links down below for Cash App or PayPal, or if you want to donate $100, you can basically go onto my Patreon, and then there's a special post there. You don't need to be a normal member. You just click the Patreon link, or you could go to the special post link in the below, or I'll put it on screen or whatever. And you pay for just that post. You won't be charged monthly at all. If you're already part of my Patreon and you want to donate to this one too, you can do that, but you just pay for this one thing and you will get a special thank you and some preview of the, jiggle physics of Leia costume. So if you're doing that, that'd be great. We're trying to get to 2,000 by the end of the promo so that I can do the cosplay. It is pretty expensive to go to all these competitions, and I don't monetize or do sponsorships, even though YouTube has been annoying me about that because they're like, hey, let us monetize. Anyway, so please go check that out. God, I'm such a nerd. Yeah, I love this. I just also feel sexy when I wear it, I mean, it doesn't go perfectly with my current outfit because I'm doing more of like a vampiric gothy outfit today, but I mean, it doesn't not like, you know. So yeah, let me know. Again, this is super easy to make, so you don't even really, I mean, you do need to sew, but like there's like a few stitches. I forgot what I was gonna say again. But yeah, so yeah, this is a little bit more of my journey and some more stuff I've done, and I'm just gonna be compiling a little bit more stuff like this, doing more kind of delves into topics like this because I think it's important for my journey. And also it's winter and it's fucking cold out, and I don't want to go to the outdoor range when it's this cold. I'm sorry. I mean, I will for y'all, but like it's fucking cold. Okay, I live in New Hampshire. It's cold. It's November and it's like 32 regularly. It's gonna get colder. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed today's video. Please look forward to more of my videos. You know, I always mix it up. I don't check my analytics at all. I kind of just go with whatever my brain is interested in at the time, which is so many things, which is why my channel is so fucking eclectic. So please like, comment, and subscribe. Come for the videos you like. If you just like seeing me talk, if you just like seeing my tits, that's great. Come for that. Come for my kitties. Look forward for more cosplay soon, and my weird rants. I mean, that's like most of YouTube, right? Like, I'm not alone in that. Bye!